sons and daughters this morning. As Pope Tewodros has started a Mass today morning for those victims from the Church of Virgin Mary in Nasr City. And after the corpses reached the place, we are going to start this funeral, praying to Allah to help them rest in peace. Dear viewers, I would like also to refer to the fact that this incident and this terrorist attack that took place in our country is not only limited to Egypt, but this terrorism is widely spread all over the world. Of course, this catastrophic incident, which is considered to be very painful for all Egyptians, especially with regards to what we are passing through today, especially that we are commemorating the anniversary of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him. So it's very difficult that this attack would happen on that day. Those were victims who were praying in the church calmly, and unfortunately on this day those safe people were attacked and they were not able to perform their prayers. So they tried to distort the manifestations of celebrating and commemorating the birth of Prophet Muhammad, and it also prevented the Christians from praying. But terrorism is not going to change the persistence and the will of the Egyptians, because all Egyptians are one hand in confronting terrorism and the power of evil that is trying to infiltrate the Egyptian community and to spread in this community to fragment and divide it. But the will of the Egyptians and their ability to stand side by side would not enable those terrorists from doing this. We are going to confront the terrorists and the powers of evil that are trying to defeat the Egyptians and to prevent them from living peacefully together. All religions, Islam, Christianity, Judaism, all the three divine religions call for peace, tolerance, compassion, love, and fraternity. And they call us to be all one entity, and we should respect the human soul and respect it, and it should not be wasted in this manner that we have seen by the terrorists who are trying always to divide the Egyptians amongst each other. This, according to a lot of observers, is considered to be part of the plan that is trying to harm and divide Egypt, and is trying to launch a war against Egypt to divide the unity of the Egyptians. This incident comes in the framework of complementing and continuing the plan of erupting sectarian violence in Egypt, but this won't happen. And although this is a very sad moment, yet it is an opportunity for unity between all the Egyptians. Those terrorists, when they targeted the Egyptians, did not differentiate between a Muslim or a Christian, because they have targeted Al-Haram Masjid, and afterwards they have attacked the church. And it's the power and the will of the Egyptians that would enable them to confront those terrorists, because this is bigger than any terrorism. So by their strength and their will and their unity, together they would be able to prevent such terrorist attacks in the future. Egypt, once it passes through difficult moments, is able to recover. Whatever incidents Egypt go through, it comes back stronger than before. We are all confident that the blood of those victims won't be wasted in vain, and that these criminal acts conducted by the terrorists is a coward act that is against all the divine teachings and divine religions. The Holy Quran told about this in the holy verse that says, those who are asked not to harm the others think that they are doing good deeds. Also in the Bible, there comes a moment when people kill youth would think that they are serving God. So Islam is the religion of peace, and also Christianity is the religion of love and peace. All religions teach us peace. And this ferocious act did not only harm the Christians, but it took place on the day of the birth of Prophet Muhammad. So it is an act that was done against people who were in one of the houses of Allah, practicing their rituals. They were just praying to God in a safe church. Despite all these conditions and despite the difficulties and all what we are passing through now, not just in Egypt but in different countries all over the world, because of the misunderstandings and misinterpretations of people with regards to the religion and the Sharia, the Islamic jurisprudence, yet Al-Azhar is trying always to confront these misunderstandings and misinterpretations, and is trying to play a role, be it through the Muslim wise leaders presided over by Grand Imam Ahmad al-Tayyib, and those who are always trying through their external tours to highlight the main teachings of Islam and the main image of Islam, so that the evil powers that are trying to harm the communities in general, and not only the Egyptian community, would learn how they really should interpret Islam instead of misinterpreting it to serve their whims and ambitions, and dealing in a way that is totally against the values and the teachings of Islam due to their misunderstanding. So Al-Azhar al-Sharif is trying to correct and rectify all these misunderstandings, and is trying also to highlight the main teachings of Islam through the tours conducted by the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar. Also, the Ministry of Waqf Endowments is trying as much as it can to change religious discourse, so that all people would have moderate ideas, and the young people would understand the value of this country. As Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, taught us how to deal with the non-Muslims. So dealing with the other necessitates, of course, that all Muslims and all Egyptians would have the ability to understand the other, accept him, and this is what is done by the Ministry of Endowment through its attempts to change the religious discourse and to introduce the real teachings of Islam to the Muslims. And this is done all through the imams in masjids who preach, because they of course play a very important role. The Friday prayer teaches people a lot due to the preachers that are given by the preachers, be it in Egypt or all over the world, because they all have an important role to play in introducing the real concepts of Islam. But those who conduct such terrorist attacks have nothing to do with Islam, because they do not differentiate between young people and old ones, Muslims or Christians. They only target the soul, aiming at terrorizing people and destabilizing our countries. Yet, dear viewers, as you can see right now, the preparations are underway for this popular and formal funeral that would be held in a short while for the martyrs of Egypt who died yesterday after they were targeted while they were praying safely in the church. But this is terrorism. It does not differentiate between young people and old ones. It terrorizes safe people and also trespasses borders to destabilize countries. These are the terrorists, the power of evil, that are trying always to destabilize countries, but no one would be able to do this to Egypt. No one would be able to change our unity, as all Egyptians are together hand in hand, and he who would try to change this won't be able to do it. Although, as the observers said, that this is a completion of the attempt to spread the religious sedition in Egypt, yet all Egyptians understand that they need to stand hand in hand and beside each other at this very important moment in the history of Egypt to help the country while terrorists are trying to change this. Egypt is recovering. Whenever it passes through difficult circumstances, it is able to recover, and it comes back on its feet stronger than ever. As we can see now, the preparations for this popular and military funeral with the presence of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. We can see now the sons of the armed forces carrying the coffins on their shoulders, and we can see also others carrying wreath of flowers, and we can see also the military band is getting ready to play the salute of the martyrs, and our greetings to the martyrs of this nation. They are all in heaven, God willing. They did nothing except praying in the church. We are all waiting for the rights to be taken from those killers who are trying to destabilize the country. As we can see also now, the security measures are tightened and the ambulances are everywhere. The security has surrounded the entrance and the exit of the area, so that this military and popular funeral would be up to our martyrs, those who are the victims of terrorism. There are also 3 spaces for receiving condolences in this place, to receive different people who started coming to this place since early morning, to give their condolences and to participate in this funeral, the funeral of the sons and daughters of Egypt who did no harm, and they are not responsible for anything that happened to them. It was all because of terrorists. We also, dear viewers, are beside the memorial of the unknown soldier, because during the war of 1973, the 6th of October, the blood of all Egyptians intermingled. It was not the blood of Muslims or the blood of Christians only, it was Egyptian blood that was shed during that war. All soldiers were defending this country, and the enemy at that time was well known by everybody. And we were all confronting this enemy as Egyptians. Yet in war against terrorism, the enemy might not be visible, so it's very difficult to confront him or to face him and defeat him. Yet with our will, strength, unity as Egyptians, and as usual, would be able to confront this enemy, this invisible enemy, terrorism. War against terrorism is the most difficult type of war, and it needs long years so that we'd be able to confront it. And confronting such an enemy comes in different forms through several procedures adopted by the country, one of which is the revision of the curricula of Al-Azhar. Al-Azhar is playing its role in this context up till now, so that all the school curricula would be revised to remove anything from it that might not be understood by the children. So the role played by Al-Azhar is a very important one. As you can see now, dear viewers, the people participating in this popular and formal funeral started arriving at the place to give their condolences. A lot of them started arriving early this morning to the place to participate in this funeral. It's worth noting that Al-Azhar is trying to protect Islam, because Al-Azhar is a strong fortress that has an important role to play in defending and protecting Islam, because it's trying to protect for Islam its dignity, respect. So it is playing its role in changing the religious discourse, as well as the review of the curricula, as some people believe that they should be developed to cope with the developments and the changes taking place. Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, said, "You are the ones who know the affairs of your life." This means that every age and every era has its religious opinion and has its demands and requirements, which necessitate dealing with it according, of course, to the Islamic teachings, but according also to the developments and the changes that took place during this age. In this context also, we need to mention the role played by the rest of state institutions, be it the legislative bodies or the spiritual and the religious leaders, in an attempt to confront any misled ideas and to condemn terrorism. Our sons in the armed forces are playing their roles in confronting such terrorism in Sinai, this spot of land dear to our hearts. And they are confronting also terrorism everywhere. The police also is playing its role. But as a lot of observers see, that there is a plan to harm Egypt and its national security. And this war is now a declared war against Egypt to destabilize it and also to kill the sons of Egypt through such terrorist acts. As we said, the soldiers of the armed forces every day sacrifice their lives to free Sinai from terrorists. This spot of land dear to our hearts. They are trying to free it from terrorism and terrorists. But due to this plan, targeting Egypt, its national security, and due to such attempts, we all need to be united. These plans are led maybe by other countries or external powers and other powers that do not want any good for Egypt. Dear viewers, we are waiting now for President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to arrive to the place to participate in this military funeral held for the martyrs who were killed yesterday because of a terrorist attack. In which they did not differentiate between children or adults, a man or a woman. Such terrorism tried to discourage the Egyptians, yet the will of the Egyptians and their belief in their country is bigger than any terrorism, is bigger than any hand that is trying to destabilize Egypt or to harm its security. The sons of this country all meet the calls of Egypt, and they are always ready to sacrifice themselves for Egypt. Every day, a son of the armed forces is either injured or dead in his attempt to protect Egypt and to free Sinai from terrorism. And also the police was targeted beside Salam Masjid in Giza, besides the pyramids. while trying to achieve an security in this area. But this coward terrorism targeted them. It is difficult, of course, to describe terrorism. We need stronger words to be able to describe it, but all Egyptians are capable of standing together to protect Egypt and this community that terrorism tried to dismantle. It's the will and the power of the Egyptians that would defeat them, because it's stronger and bigger than that. One of the other important things to be mentioned in this context, in addition to the role played by the state institutions, is the need to have a kind of follow-up. It should start with the family, the children, the schools. We should inculcate in the minds and hearts of those children the love of the country and the right concepts and ideas and the teachings of religion, because the child, if he receives misconcepts, then this would remain with him until he is an adult. And when he becomes an adult, he might deal in a way that is totally against the teachings of Islam. So Al-Azhar and the Ministry of Endowment are both exerting all their efforts to disseminate the teachings of Islam. Al-Azhar, the church, the family house, that plays an important role in settling a lot of problems that arise amongst Egyptians. The family house, Al-Azhar, the church, work together practically by solving a lot of problems facing Egyptians. The sons of this country try to get to know each other better and to get closer to each other. There is no difference between a Muslim or a Christian. All Egyptians are brothers and sisters. They are all together and gathered by the unity of this country, and they all work for this country to protect the integrity of its lands and to keep it safe. So the family house has an important role because it's trying to include both Muslim youth and Christian youth together, to make them work together and to respect each other and to be able to accept the other, respect him, and never think that the other is different from myself. As you can see now, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi arrived to the funeral.
شريف زي ما
حضراتكم الآن الرئيس عبد
You can
الفتاح
see now
السيسي
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi
هذه الجنازة
attending this funeral
المهيبة
and giving his condolences
ومصافحة أهالي
to the families of the martyrs,
وأيضا عدد من
as
الآباء
well as a number of priests, popes,
في محاولة لمؤازرة
in an attempt to show support to them after this
الذي
incident
بمصر وآلمها بعد
that caused a lot of pain to all Egyptians after the martyrdom of a number of its sons and daughters yesterday.
فمنذ قليل كانت نعوش تحمل
The coffins
على الأكتاف
few minutes ago were carried on the shoulders
شهداء
of the soldiers of the armed forces,
ضحية الإرهاب
carrying the martyrs who died due to this terrorist attack.
ولكن لم ولن
But
يعضد المسلمين
this is not going to discourage the Egyptians who are standing beside each other
ضد الإرهاب
against terrorism
الذي لم يترك صغيرا
that did not leave
ولا كبيرا
the young or the adults and does not differentiate between Egyptians,
ولا مسيحي
neither a Muslim nor a Christian.
المصريين جميعا
It's targeting all Egyptians,
ينال
yet
من عزيمتهم
it is not going to discourage them or affect their ability
هذا
to love this country.
كما نتابع مع حضراتكم
As you can see now,
السيد الرئيس عبد الفتاح
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi
يصافح أهالي الشهداء
is giving his condolences to the families of the martyrs,
مع عدد من كبار رجال
along with a number of senior officials and public figures, in addition to popular and executive leaders. They are all giving their condolences to the families of the martyrs.